Good evening, and welcome to the Boys from the Baltic Star, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. Tonight, I am Ben, and I'm joined by Ewan. Good evening, Ewan. How are you?
Hello, Ben. I'm very good. Thanks. I'm very good. I'm excited to be here once more for our third venture into this
Yeah,
wonderful bedtime story that you're telling me.
this is indeed our third attempt at the Trial of Champions, and it is our third episode of our third attempt. Our first two
Mm.
attempts did not warrant a third episode or come to that a second episode.
No, 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 no.
We have a bit of history with this one. This monster of a book published in 1986 because the first time we played it, we died of cowardice. And so we determined we would come back and have another go. And the second time we played it, we didn't get far enough into the game to die of cowardice, which I think we felt quite bad about, actually. Uh,
Yes, yeah, yeah.
it, it,
Especially
it
because I think we
felt,
had it all mapped out, didn't we? Or we thought we did.
yeah, yeah. So we decided to have a third go, and this time we have, so far at least, made it quite far into the actual adventure. Now, I should point out that this is a that what that means is we actually don't know how well we're doing really because this is all completely untravelled territory for us,
Yeah.
and also our skills, stamina, and luck scores are well below the starting values, even if you roll the worst possible dice.
Yes, and they are certainly well below our starting values.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, which is disappointing. Um, Theoretically, you can have up to 24 stamina. I'm currently sitting on 8. You can have up to 12 skill, and I'm currently sitting on 6.
Mm.
These are not good numbers.
No, 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 no. They certainly are not. Uh,
However, so far we're still alive.
yeah,
And
we've got a
and
plethora of really useful items, I'm sure,
yes,
some of which
yes,
are very interesting.
we do have some good items. And there's another thing actually that we just achieved. We tried to rescue one of our competitors in this trial from a sort of tongue monster.
Mm,
We were not successful in rescuing him. It should be
no.
pointed out. He died at our feet.
Well, we can barely keep ourselves alive, so trying to
True.
keep someone else alive is really
Definitely a
mischief.
stretch goal for us.
Yeah.
But as a consequence of that, we did manage to, with his permission, apparently, loot his corpse,
Mm,
and accordingly, we did get some boost to our health, which was extremely handy. And I think we got a bottle of blue dye from him as well, which was it was probably essential for something.
yeah, yeah. Somewhere along the line, it will save us, no doubt.
Probably, hopefully, probably not, but
Maybe.
but we'll find out. So far, actually, now that we've made it into the proper Trial of Champions, I'm rather enjoying this one. It it feels like it's costing us health and skill a lot, but it's entertaining.
Mm, yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely.
So the basic backstory is that we were recruited by, I say recruited, we were enslaved
Mm,
and
yeah.
sent off to battle in an arena where we were the only survivors, and then our reward for this was being sent to the Trial of Champions, which is essentially a revisit of Death Trap Dungeon, an earlier book in the series, the Fighting Fantasy game books. And as a consequence of being sent there, we now are constantly in desperate peril. However, should we win out, we not only would potentially win fame and fortune, but also possibly be able to seek revenge against the lord who imprisoned us and enslaved us, because we keep getting hints from other people that whoever gets out alive needs to then take vengeance upon the slaver.
Yes. So all in all, we've got a lot to do. We've been busy.
Yeah,
there's a fair way still to go, I think.
and
But
therefore, undeniably, we are motivated.
yes,
Okay,
definitely.
so we turn to where we left off, which is paragraph 85. Um, and it says, "You climb over the bleeding tongue and see that steps descend a long way down. You can just make out the faint voice of a girl singing. We can continue down the steps to investigate, or we can walk back out to the tunnel."
I'm going to be honest, Ben. It's possibly the worst opening paragraph. I know it's not the opening, but to our game, it's the opening paragraph. There's a lot of things in there that I don't want to be hearing. Bleeding tongue, girl singing somewhere off in the distance in a spooky way.
Yeah,
None of this sounds good.
I mean, our sort of natural inclination is always to press on. Once we've made a decision
Hmm.
about which way to go, we press on until it kills us or we succeed. However, we could walk back out to the tunnel, and either way is essentially a door. Back out to the tunnel is through a door, and pressing on through the. It's like a giant stone mouth that the tongue was resting in.
Yeah.
So they're both fundamentally doors. So what do you think? Do we press on or do we turn back?
It's difficult. I seem to remember at this T junction there was a bit of an issue with the door on the left of it,
I think you're right.
but there was more tunnel going off in the right direction.
Yeah. The
But there
issue, I
are
suppose,
options.
is if we walk away now, we might not be able to come back.
Yeah, that's true. And also, we'll never find out who was singing or why or what song
Indeed. Yeah.
or what reward they would give us when we inevitably conquered whatever peril was in that direction.
There is that. Yep. That's all true.
But I am also on 14 stamina and 6 skill, so it's, it's a tough call.
Yeah. Realistically, whichever way we go, 14 stamina and 6 skill is not going
Mm,
to help.
that's true. It's going to be deadly in either direction, isn't it? I
Yeah,
think.
it is.
Mm.
So, what do you think? Should we press
Which,
on?
when you put it like that, I'm more inclined to press on.
Okay.
When you realise that we're probably doomed in either direction, or equally as likely to succeed, I suppose, in either
Yes,
direction.
absolutely. Well, if we press on, I mean, if it turns out that this is a dead end and we have to come back, then that will tell us what we need to know, won't it?
Mm,
But I do
that is
seem to
true.
recall, actually, didn't the dying elf tell us that he thought the way to the end was through the mouth?
Yes, there was something like that. Yeah,
Hmm.
I think you're right.
Okay, let's press on and see what happens. We
Yeah.
will go down the steps to investigate and turn to 364. Okay. At the bottom of the steps, there is a large cave, which is partly submerged in gently bubbling water. Steam rises into the cold air, and you see a tunnel exit in the far wall. Sitting on a rock in the middle of the underground lake is a beautiful woman singing a magical song. She is a siren, one of a human like race of evil seductresses.
Good.
Obviously, yes. Her
Yes.
song is to lure you to her so that she can slay you with her long knife to sacrifice you to her gods.
Yes.
Roll one die. If you roll a 1 or a 2, turn to 103. If you roll 3 to 6, turn to 203. Okay,
Hmm.
so what we normally do in this situation, because I can't remember whose turn it is
Yeah.
we actually roll a die to find out who's going to be tasked with rolling the die. You happy with
Yeah.
odds as usual?
Yes, please, Ben. If that's all right with yourself.
It's absolutely fine. That is a 6. So I will roll, and I don't know if 1 or 2 is better or 3 or 6 is better. So we'll just
Hmm.
have to take our chances. And that's a 3. So
Ooh.
it is a 3 to 6, and that means we turn to 203. You cover your ears and scream at the top of your voice to shut out the siren's song. You run through the cave and into the tunnel beyond. Turn to 21. Okay.
I think that was a good roll, Ben.
I think that was
well
a good
done.
roll.
It certainly could have gone much worse, I feel.
Okay. The tunnel rises quite steeply and grows rapidly colder. The steep floor soon gives way to stone steps, which makes progress a little less tiring. But halfway up the steps, you notice there are 3 in a row which are painted red. We can carry on walking up every step or leap over the 3 red steps. I mean, I suppose the question is this intended to be a warning? You know, something that we would genuinely learn from it. I mean, if you're designing this dungeon, do you actually put 3 red steps as a warning, or is that just because it's fair? You're supposed to try and leap them. I don't know.
Hmm. My my initial cynical thoughts are that they're not. It's not. They're not painted red. It's blood. Uh,
Oh, possibly, yeah.
but then, as such, is it going to be on the steps that you would find the blood, or is it like the step after the 3 steps that is the dangerous one? And if we leap on it, we're going to be in trouble. I don't know.
uh,
Doesn't really tell us much.
no, no. I'm just sort of hoping it's not insanely cruel.
Yeah.
Um,
Low stamina loss would be good.
yeah. Shall we try and leap them then, or shall we walk up every step? I'm tempted to say leap them, but
Okay, let's go and leap them. I think that's as good a good a decision as any. We could second guess
we
what
will try to
possibly could
leap
be
them with a
lying.
single bound
Yeah.
and turn to 50. The steps are quite steep, and it requires a mighty leap to clear them. If you're wearing a breastplate, turn to 206, and if you're not wearing a breastplate, turn to 327.
I don't believe we are.
We are not. We don't have a breastplate. No. Suddenly I'm hoping the breastplate thing is about weight rather than it being a magical breastplate of leaping.
Yeah. Making it harder.
Yeah. Okay, we're not wearing a breastplate. Turn to 327.
You are not wearing a magical breastplate of leaping.
You clear the 3 steps with ease and walk up the remaining ones. Turn to 141. Oh, this is going brilliantly.
That was wonderful. Good work, Ben. Good choice.
Okay. You walk through a stone arch into a level tunnel. After walking some 30 metres, you come across a row of clay urns, each the same size and pattern, lined up against the right-hand wall. We can look inside the urns or walk on.
Are you tempted to say an urn is a door?
I don't want to miss something essential. We've got this thing in our thing saying set 1 is 249. We probably have to find a set
like
2 or something.
Yeah, it feels like there'll at least be more than one. Otherwise,
Yeah.
why specify?
And there could be magic items, healing things, all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you're right. I think we have to look inside the urns. We will turn to 208. Just hoping it isn't instant death.
Mm.
Okay, the first urn is empty, as is the second, but the third one contains a purple cloak.
Mm.
So we can put on the cloak, or look in the fourth and fifth urns, or leave and walk on. We have no way of knowing what the purple cloak will do, of course.
No.
Um,
And presumably, as long as it doesn't kill us, it'll still give us the option to look in the fourth and fifth.
that seems plausible, yeah. To cloak or not to cloak? That is the question.
And that is the question.
Um,
Whether it is nobler to wear a cloak or not.
we've got none of the hints we picked up said anything about a cloak. Shall we be bold?
I'd like to think at this point that something needs to go right eventually to help us with our stats, if nothing
Yeah,
else.
yeah, I agree with you. I think this could be a magical return your skill to its starting value cloak.
Mm. Which would really help.
That would really help, yeah. Um, oh, let's give it a shot. I mean, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, there's nothing else other than it's purple and it's a cloak. So unless we missed a clue somewhere earlier on in the dungeon,
Yeah, all we know is it's a
feels
purple
like
cloak.
a harsh punishment. Should we be punished for it?
Yeah, yeah. Let's give it a shot. We will put on the cloak and see what happens. Turn to 53. The cloak is made of a special material which has fire-resistant properties.
Hmm.
Add 1 luck point.
Hmm.
Okay, so a luck point and fire-resistant cloak.
That certainly is good news.
That might be really handy if there's a fire trap or a dragon or something up ahead.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
okay. It then says, if you'd now like to look in the fourth and fifth urns, turn to 147, or if we'd rather walk on, turn to 69. I mean, we've got to look in the urns, haven't we? We can't leave them unexamined.
No, I don't think we can. There's a lot of fear of missing out in these games, I think, certainly the way I approach them at least.
Yeah, yeah, there really is, because you never know what you might need at the end.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, we'll look in the fourth and fifth urns and see what happens. Nervous about this now because we've had a little prize, and sometimes if you keep going, it punishes you. But we'll try it. We will turn to 147. Okie dokie. The fourth urn is empty, and the fifth urn is half filled with dried flowers and grasses.
Mm.
If you wish to empty the urn out onto the floor, turn to 241. Would rather walk on, turn to 69. So here's my thinking. Obviously, we probably should turn it out on the floor and see if there's anything hidden in the flowers and grasses.
Yeah.
But this does feel like one of those "are you sure" moments.
Yeah, it kind of does. Well, not even thinly veiled disguise, perhaps, but yeah. But also, it could be something really cool.
It could be.
I think you're right. I think you're right, Ben. I think it does feel like a. You sure you want to look in this one?
I can't decide. Whatever you think. I'm happy either way.
Oh, I've just said it. I've just said I think you're right, Ben. But let's tip it out.
We'll, t- we'll tip it out. Okay.
Because I don't know what's good for me.
We'll tip it out onto the floor. Or at least we'll know, won't we?
Mm.
So we'll
And
tip
you
it
know,
out
if
onto
they
the
catch
floor.
fire, we're fine.
True. Good point. We will tip it out onto the floor and turn to 241. Okay. After emptying the urn, you begin to sift through the flowers and grasses. Test your luck. Okay. Is it your turn or my turn?
Um, we didn't have to roll for the stairs, did we?
No, we didn't. So I think it's probably your turn then.
Okay.
So test your luck. To be fair, my luck's 6, so it's not exactly brilliant.
That is good. I rolled a 6, which is one
Superb.
less than my luck. Although my luck does now go down to 6.
All right, that's excellent news. We are lucky we turned to 198. Now let's hope that means we found something great rather than you just survived.
Yeah, you narrowly avoid death. Although I wouldn't turn my nose up at that, to be fair.
The dried flowers and grasses are used as a nest by a poisonous redback spider, but luckily you see it crawling up the stem of a poppy and crush it underfoot. There is nothing else hidden in the flowers and grasses. And you walk on up the tunnel. Turn to 69. Okay.
Well, at least we didn't die.
Yeah, no harm done.
Which I feel at this point could be our motto.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. 20 metres further along, you come to another door. The door is painted black and has a large brass ring as a handle. We can open the door or keep walking. Okay. So it doesn't say which side of the passage it's on, but obviously it's on one of the sides. So we can keep going or we can open the door. Now, we have rules, and since this is early in the stream, we should explain. When we encounter doors, we have a standard procedure here. We open doors. We go through doors, we explore doors. And we do this because, generally speaking, doors are where you find things on the other side. Useful, essential stuff. So I feel we don't have to discuss this, do we? We're going to open the door.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we are.
Okay. Then we will do that, and we will just see what's on the other side. And it could be good. You know, there could be great things, or there could be a monster. You never know.
Well, yeah, we might have to add the caveat: no black doors or with brass fittings.
Maybe, yes. Because
maybe we'll see.
This is the dungeon, isn't it, where the decoration on the door gives you a clue about what's inside?
Yes, yeah. So there was a.
So a large brass ring could imply something like a minotaur, for example.
Yes.
But if it's a minotaur, we'll probably have to have a fight. Yeah, there is already the caveat that things that are like doors but are natural, like caves, we don't mess with caves. They always end badly for us.
Yeah, they do tend to kill us.
Okay, we will open the door and turn to 182.
I'm hoping it tells us which side of the passage it's on.
The room is empty, except for a large bronze statue of a 6-armed woman dressed in decorative silk and mounted on a marble plinth. The idol is holding a brass lamp in one hand and a curved sword in each of its other hands.
Oh.
White smoke drifts up from 4 silver pipes placed around the idol. So we can take the lamp or keep walking along the tunnel. I mean, she's got essentially 5 swords, hasn't she?
Yes.
So that's the key thing. Do we want to risk... I mean, do we want the lamp enough to be willing to fight 5 swords?
That does appear to be what it's offering us, I suppose.
I mean, it could be something completely different, but, 6-armed idol holding a lamp and 5 swords is, it implies certain things.
Yes, it certainly does. Wishes. Loads of wishes.
Right? Many wishes, yeah.
yeah, definitely. Oh, I don't know, Ben. It's
all
really
we know
tricky.
is that it's a lamp, so it could be a brilliant lamp or it could be a terrible lamp.
That's true. That is very true.
I'm
happy either way, I think, on this one.
Okay.
I'll go with you if you wanna test it, but if you wanna leave, that's fine.
I think I want the lamp just in case it's really important.
Yeah.
You're okay with that?
Yeah, that checks out.
Okay.
Very important.
We'll give it a shot. We will take the lamp. 311. It's going to turn out to be worthless and we're going to die getting it, aren't we?
Well, that would be reasonably fitting with
okay.
the way these things generally go.
As soon as you touch the lamp, the idol jerks into life. Yep, saw that coming.
Yeah.
It steps down from its marble plinth and walks towards you, cutting its swords through the air. Right, we have to fight it. It is skill 9, stamina 6. So its skill is quite high. Now, it then says, if you are armed with a magic sword, it will be possible to slay the idol. And if you win, turn to 262. And if you're armed with an ordinary sword, turn to 55. Right. I just want to check what happens if you're... We are, in fact, armed with a magic sword.
I assume an ordinary sword means you cannot defeat the idol.
That's what it appears to be, yeah. So, so essentially, we do have magic sword, which is good, because we can at least have a fight.
We dodged a bullet on that one.
Okay, that's good. Right. So, magic broadswords away. Roll for attack. I have rolled a 7 for a total of 13.
I too have rolled a 7 for a total of 13 then.
Okay. The idol has rolled a 5 for a total of 14. And who does it hit? It hits me. I go down to 6 stamina. Okay. Round 2.
Alright.
I have rolled an 8 for a total of 14.
We're rolling a lot of the same over the last 2 sessions in this dungeon, Ben. I too have rolled an 8. I don't know if it's the same 8, but it is an 8 nonetheless.
It was a 5 and a 3 for me.
Yeah, same.
Okay. And the idol has rolled a 7, which means it beats us, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
And who does it hit?
To change dice.
You this time. That was a 5.
Okie dokie. That is a 12 for me now.
Okay. You're healthier than I am then.
Hmm.
Okay, I have rolled an 11 for a
Ah,
total of 17.
that's good news. I rolled a 9 for a total of 15, please.
Excellent. And the idol has rolled a 7, which is a total of 15, 16.
16.
So
So it beats me.
it beats you, but
Present.
loses
Yes.
to me.
Yeah.
Okay. And it rolled a 2, so it went for me. So you don't take any hit, and the idol is down to 4 stamina.
Good.
We could use a good
Good.
roll here, finish it off in 1.
Yeah. It's not all going our way, but so far it's not too bad. Oh, that is
I've rolled
good.
an 8, total of 14.
Mine is a 10 for a 16 total.
Okay. And the idol has rolled a 3 for a total
Oh,
of 12. And that means the idol is done.
it's the end of that.
That is fantastic. If we win, we turn to 262. And we did win. We crushed it.
Oh, eventually.
Eventually. Once again you pick up the lamp. Hoping for something wondrous to happen, you rub it vigorously. Nothing happens, but you hear something rattle inside. You take off the lid and find a gold ring inside. Okay?
Hmm.
Drop it into the pouch. There are a lot of gold rings in this game.
Yeah, I think we already have one still.
We do, and I think we've already lost 2.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
So,
Interesting. Okay.
so in theory, you could have 4 at this point, I guess. Though
Yeah.
one we literally gave away. I think the other one was stolen from us or something, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Um, so, but we have at least 2. I just have a feeling that at the end it's going to say, "Do you have at least 7 gold rings?"
Hmm.
And the answer is going to be, "No, we have 3."
Hmm. Or 6.
Yes, absolutely.
Just shy that one that was stolen from us will
Yeah, that's quite
make all the
possible.
difference.
Yep. You drop it in your pouch and leave the room and walk along the tunnel. Turn to 109.
Good stuff.
Okay. 109. Yep. Okay. The tunnel eventually ends at a T-junction. Looking right, you can see a bright glow in the distance, and looking left, you see that the tunnel ends at a door. We can walk towards the bright glow, or open the door to the left.
Well, I mean, a door is a door.
A door is a door. I mean, obviously we're going to open the door.
Hmm.
The only
I
question
was
is,
very intrigued by the bright glow,
yeah,
but
I suppose the question for me is, do we investigate the bright glow before we open the door,
hmm,
in case opening the door is the actual way forwards, if you see what I mean?
yeah, and we can't go back.
And we can't go back. Because the bright glow doesn't need opening anything. So do we go and at least find out what it is before we open the door? Because if the door... You see what I mean? The question isn't whether or not we're
Yeah,
going to open the door, it's what order we do it in.
yes.
Um,
I suppose the problem comes is if we investigate the bright glow and there's a door in the other direction as well. I'll be more outside the rules at that point. We have no idea what to do. It might as well be anarchy.
well, yes. Yeah, it would be like we had no rule book to follow at all.
Mm.
Um, what do you think? I'm just
But
very curious about the bright glow. I'm curious about what it
yeah,
is. But
I too am. And you are right, Quickfail. A door is a door.
yeah. So what do you think? Do we just follow our normal routine and go to the door, or do we at least take a look at the bright glow to see what it is first?
Let's check it out.
Check out the glow just in case.
Yeah.
All right. Hopefully, it will allow us to come back to the door. And hopefully it won't confront us with another door. Okay, we'll walk towards the bright glow and see what it is, because you never know. We will turn to 143. Okay. Oh, right, interesting. The tunnel ends at an archway which is mounted with dragons' heads made of iron.
Hmm.
Flames shoot out of their mouths continuously, making a wall of fire across the archway. We can run quickly through the archway or walk back down the tunnel to open the door. Okay, so this is effectively another door, only not with an actual wooden door in it. But this is a door that perhaps a purple fireproof cloak might be handy for.
Yeah, it's difficult though because, as you rightly say, it is a door, just in a different form. I can't help, however, think that it is a door of fire, and fire is a very natural thing.
Ooh.
That being said, we do have a cloak of fire resistance, which feels like it's almost intended for this very purpose.
It almost does. I'm just wondering if this is kind of the reward, and behind here there's a thing
Mm,
that you get if you were brave enough to take the cloak.
yeah,
Uh,
I think we'd be foolish not to do it, if I'm
okay,
honest.
we'll run quickly through the archway and see what happens because
Yeah,
if it works, it works. We will run quickly through the archway and turn to 370. Keeping your head down, you run through the archway as fast as you can. If you are wearing a purple cloak, turn to 16. Yes, we are. We will turn to 16. This has
good
got to be good
times.
news.
I think so.
This feels like a reward door. The heat from the flames is intense, but the fireproof cloak protects you completely. Once through the archway, you find yourself in a cross passage. Looking to the right, you see nothing of interest down the long tunnel, but to your left, you see something hanging down from the ceiling. You decide to investigate. Okay, 88. We don't get a choice.
So we're going up.
88. Okay. As you get closer, you see that a rope loops through a hook in the ceiling and that a wooden box is suspended by it, well out of reach. The other end of the rope loops through a hook in the floor and back up to a wooden block where it's fastened by iron bands. An axe is sticking out of the block and an inscription on the blade reads rope cutter.
Now,
So the choices we have are we can cut the rope with the axe,
yeah.
we can cut the rope with the sword, with our own sword, or we
Mm.
can ignore the rope and walk on. Um, I mean, they've given us this axe, which is clearly designed to cut the rope, but I feel this is literally a trap. I mean, it's got ropes and boxes and things.
Yeah, however, I also think that it could be a trap, but I'm worried that if we decide to cut the rope with our sword, it will be like this is a magical rope that just destroys whatever cut it. You should have used the rope cutter.
Yeah, good
Do
point.
you know what I mean? We told you to do this, and you completely ignored us. Hi, IM2, by the way. You catch us in a very delicate situation, I feel.
Um, okay. We could just ignore it and walk on, but I'm nervous if when the box falls, there might be something really useful in it.
Yeah, yeah. For all the raiders, we are currently stood below a suspended box. which is suspended by a rope and a pulley. Two
Yes.
pulleys, one at the top, essentially one at the bottom,
And they have
in some
provided
shape or
an
form.
axe called rope cutter. It's got that written on it
Mm.
to cut the rope. I think my FOMO is saying we can't ignore it. We have to cut the rope.
Yeah, and I'm all for agreeing with FOMO.
So the question is whether we use the axe or the sword. I mean, it's not obviously giving us the option to just gently saw with our sword and not
Yeah,
risk
test it
anything.
out and see what happens. mm.
Um, I I don't know. I'm tempted to say use a sword because when we picked up the magic sword, it said you basically swap that for the one you came with.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it won't say. I mean, it might actually. Of course, it's done this kind of thing before, but I'm hoping it won't say things like you've now ruined your sword and you have to now operate without one. Your skill goes down by 6 for the remainder of the game. That would be
that
bad.
would that would be bad.
Um,
Okay. I know. No, I agree. I think that would be a very bad thing. And
so, what do you reckon? Do we risk the obvious trap of the word rope cutter written on the axe? um,
yeah, I think I'm with you. Let's use the sword.
use a sword. Okay, we'll try it.
Yeah.
I mean, if it turns out to ruin things, it'll ruin things. But we'll try the sword. 149. Okay. One blow from your sword cuts the rope in two. The wooden box crashes to the floor and breaks apart. Lying inside the broken box, you find two brass hands from a clock.
Mm.
Hoping they might be of use to you, you place them inside your leather pouch and walk on. Okay. I have no idea what the axe would have done, but the sword doesn't seem to have cost us anything, so maybe it was the
Yeah.
right choice. Two brass clock hands.
We
That's
have a
good.
really eclectic inventory now, I feel.
It is a very unusual selection, yes.
Mm.
Okay, they might be of use, so we will place them inside the leather pouch and walk on, turn to 388. It stopped giving us the option to go back to that door, I'm afraid.
Uh, that's okay. We'll just have to find another door, I think.
Yeah, and to be fair, the fiery dragon door was clearly a reward door. I mean, that felt good to me.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
we didn't even exchange. It's not that we had to trade our cloak of fire resistance for the brass clock hands.
no,
We now have both.
we have both, yeah. 388 is good. Okay. Walking along, you are surprised to hear a squeaky voice above you shout, "Hello!" You look up and see a small face staring down at you from a grill in the ceiling. "I'm hungry," the little man says. "Give me some food and I'll tell you a thing or two about somebody you're bound to meet." He drops a cotton bag down on a piece of string in hopeful anticipation. If you wish to give the little man some nuts and berries, turn to 309, and if you'd rather walk on without giving away your precious food, turn to 58. Well, it says precious food, but at no point has it suggested we've got anything other than some general food for the. It's not like we have food provisions, do we?
No, we don't have anything in our inventory. We didn't start with anything.
Um,
So are we to assume that we do? Because it doesn't say if you have, does it?
That's
It
right.
just says if you.
Normally it would say, did you find nuts and berries or something? So
Mm,
I guess it feels like a free thing we can give away because we weren't relying on it, were we?
no. We would have eaten them all by now, I think, at this point.
We
If
definitely,
it
yeah.
was provisions, because we are in dire need of them.
Let's give him some nuts and berries then, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, we will give him some nuts and berries and turn to 309. You drop a handful of nuts and berries into the bag and watch it disappear through the grill. The little man smiles and says, "The hunchback is a liar." Then he disappears and you're alone again.
Hmm.
Okay, the hunchback is a liar.
As in someone who's not telling the truth, liar.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. The hunchback is a liar. That's all we know. Wondering who the hunchback might be, you set off once again, turn to 58. Okay. Walking along, you step on a stone which triggers an unseen trap. Iron bars drop down from holes in the ceiling in front of you and behind you. You strain to lift them, but you're unable to move them and they're too thick to bend. If you're carrying a file in your pouch, turn to 106. If you don't possess a file, turn to 396. Of all of the chaotic stuff we've got in our pouch,
Yeah.
file is not among them.
Blue die, yep, sure. Small iron key, yeah, of course. Mirror, yeah.
Yep.
Wooden whistle, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, got one of those. Two
Yep.
brass clock hands. Yeah.
Clock hands, couple of gold rings, a bottle of blue dye. That would be useful right now.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, lots of good stuff, but absolutely no file. Okay, so let's
No.
find out if this is instant death then. We do not possess a file, so we turn to 396. Okay. Like a caged lion, you pace between the bars, getting angrier and angrier. But you are trapped and there is no escape. Minutes later, you hear a hissing sound overhead as poisonous gas is released into the air to end your challenge.
Wow.
And that's where it goes. Okay.
Wow.
Somewhere
That was
along the way, we were supposed to have a file, apparently.
that was that was harsh, I think. It felt as though we got to the point where if anything bad was gonna happen, we had the object. We only came here because we went through the doorway in the fire and we had the fire resistant cloak to get us here.
That's right.
That worked well. So
That
we
did.
it felt as though we'd found the right object to get us going in this direction. From there, we didn't have a choice which direction we went. We had to go up.
That's right.
The box would have made presumably no difference to the trap. It might have done, but
I
maybe not.
suppose maybe it was behind that door that we ignored. You never know. But
Yeah.
it could have been anywhere in the maze, to be honest. Oh, well. Okay. Well, the good news is we actually had this time a proper go at the Trial of Champions.
Yeah.
We didn't win, but we did okay, you know?
Yeah, well, we made it to session 3 of the of this outing.
We did.
We explored a fair amount of the dungeon, and more notably, we actually made it to the dungeon without dying, which felt like an achievement in itself. To
Yes,
be honest.
absolutely. And we did indeed, you know, put up a good fight in the Trial of Champions. After two attempts that were frankly humiliating, embarrassing, and pathetic, where we didn't even make it into the actual dungeon properly,
Yeah,
into the actual Trial of Champions. We died in the prologue, basically. We have now finally made it a fair distance through the Trial of Champions, gathering quite a lot of stuff and achieving a fair few things and ridding the world of a handful of monsters. Um, have no idea how many more of the set one things we might have needed, whether it was two or three or four, but we had at least one of those, a couple of gold rings. Um,
yeah.
we were doing all right. We just were lacking a file, as it turned out, and if you go that way, you need a file. Ah, well. I don't think we had a lot of choice in which way to go, to be honest.
No, no. I mean, yeah, it definitely sold it to us because we were. It sort of set us up, didn't it? With the there's a wall of fire or there's a
Yeah,
corridor of fire here, so of course we're going to go that way because we have the cloak of fire resistance.
yes. It did feel like the right way to go. And
Yeah,
it turns out that was possibly a mistake. Or, in fact, maybe it was the right way to go, but we missed something along the way. And, I mean, it doesn't actually give you the any clue as to where you got the file from, but for all I know, you could have collected it by rummaging around in the cell in the arena at the very start of the book.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it could have been anywhere, couldn't it? It could have been a different passage at the very beginning,
Yeah.
left rather than right. It could have been
Maybe you
numerous
needed to
things.
not step into that room that teleported you and keep going past that, and it was, beyond that. So it's possible we were essentially dead men walking from the moment we passed something
We didn't.
in session
Yeah,
one.
very true.
Uh, it's, yeah. But for the first time with this book, I feel like we actually did it justice. We put our best foot forward and were beaten fair and square. I mean, very cruelly, but fair and square, well into the book, rather than dying before we even made it to the Trial of Champions.
Yeah, it felt like a good effort. Nothing to be ashamed of. There's no. I think there's no harm done to our. Uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, Ben. It's been a long day. there's no harm done to our reputation,
Yes,
which, let's face it, wasn't great to begin with.
yes,
So
yes,
Luke can't mock us too much.
possibly, yes. Our honour is intact.
Mm,
Yes,
that's the one.
thank you, Crit. Yes, reputation. um, it's anyway a bit erratic. This one, I think there are too many ways to die, kind of randomly. Um, it's very nicely constructed. It's fun to play, but you do
Mm,
feel like you have to keep beating your head against it until you blunder your way through the instant deaths that can occur to you.
yeah, definitely. It's yeah, there were a lot of those choices where sometimes it's very obvious and you sort of half second guess it, but you're like, no, this is what we need to do. This one, it felt as though any decision at any point could be instant death.
Yeah, yeah, and there
As
did
it
seem to
turns
be a
out, it
lot of
was
those.
eventually somewhere along the line.
Yeah, and it's fair enough. We fought hard and we lost, but then it was
Yeah,
supposed to be an effectively impossible challenge. Um, that is supposed to kill everyone who enters it. And that checks out, doesn't it?
Yeah, certainly at this point it does. Three deaths, one entry, three deaths. So I think it kills
Yes, we managed to
a
die
high
3 times,
a high
despite only going in
percentage.
once.
Yeah, a high percentage of people that enter it probably end up dying
Yes,
based on our
300% of
stats.
all of the people
Yeah,
who enter it die.
yeah.
That is a remarkably high percentage.
You can see why it was called Death Trap Dungeon.
Yeah, yeah, and this
Mm.
is the version 2 of Death Trap Dungeon that is apparently, much deadlier. I love the way at the start it says,
300% more deadly.
yeah, it was upgraded because some brave hero made it through Death Trap Dungeon.
Mm.
And immediately I read that, I thought, well, it definitely wasn't us.
No, 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 no. Even if it was meant to be, it wasn't.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ewan.
No, thank you, Ben. Much fun, much fun. Um, as always, and I feel as though we accomplished something here.
Yeah, I do as
Might
well.
not be what we set out to accomplish, but
Well,
goals were met.
to an extent, I think it is what we set out to accomplish. We didn't beat the book, that's true. But we did set out to erase from our record the shameful way in which we completely failed so categorically the first time and then managed somehow to do worse the second time.
Yes, yeah, that has been fixed.
Yeah. Yeah, we've now finally had a proper go of it. It hasn't resulted in victory, but it has resulted in a proper go. And a 3 session game, or 2.5, let's say.
And there haven't been many of those, to be fair.
There haven't, no. No, I think we've only ended up doing that once or twice before.
Yeah, maybe. I think we did the last time we were at Firetop Mountain, didn't we?
Yes.
But we made it to the end without actually winning that one.
I have
So
a
we
feeling.
did make it all the way through in
Did
3
Creature
sessions.
of Havoc take a couple of sessions, or was that 3?
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, we I feel good about it. I feel we did okay.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And given how much of that game we were struggling on very, very low stats. In fact, I should point out my stats when we died were 666.
So it's your fault.
It's my fault.
Yeah, which is not good. I mean, generally speaking, if you have a skill of 6, things are going to be tough.
Yeah.
Or at least that's the way we found it in other books, certainly. And I don't think this one's certainly not any less lethal or easier.
Yes. Yeah. This is a toughie. Well, as far as I'm aware, this is the last of the books we currently have planned. Obviously, we will use them whenever we need to fill in for a game. But I think the next month or so we have plans for Fridays and Saturdays, don't we?
Yeah, we do indeed.
So
Yes.
so we won't be doing another one of these probably in June, unless Luke's suddenly unavailable for Friday or something. But when we do come back to these, I think we're going to have another go at Starship Traveller, because that was the one where we died of volcano.
Yes, yeah, and I don't think that was necessarily a we. I believe I think I chose the volcano, and
You see, I feel very strongly that I chose the volcano, but most importantly, the thing that's very important to remember is that in no way did Socks tell us to investigate the volcano. Let's be very clear about that.
Because generally speaking, chat are very good at keeping us alive.
Yeah,
or at least trying to, and then we don't listen to them, and then when we don't listen to them, we die. That tends to be the way things go.
That's absolutely true. So it's definitely not Socks's fault. That's the most important thing to remember. Yeah. So thank you very much for joining us, whether you did live or in on VOD, and we will next be streaming on Friday, which I think is Traveller Night. But Luke did say, and no promises here because we're all
Yeah.
dealing with various things, but he did say he might pop in at some point in the week for a bit of a video game of some kind. Don't know what it'll be.
No, and that's quite exciting actually because he tends to pick very good games, or
He
at least games
does,
that I thoroughly enjoy.
and he hasn't
Um,
done a Luke Plays for a while now because his internet's been a
yeah,
catastrophe. But now he has actual internet rather than a yogurt pot on the end of a damp string.
yeah,
Um, so I think he's quite excited to have a go at a Luke Plays at some point.
mm,
So no
yeah,
promises. It may not be this week, but just keep an eye open if you're interested in seeing a Luke Plays. I think they're great fun.
yeah, definitely.
So
And either way, it'll be for travel on Friday.
it will be Traveller on Friday no matter what. So thank you very much. Thank you everybody. And
Mm,
without further ado, not even as much ado as that, um, we will bid you a good night. Good night.
good night.